My brothers and sisters, today, I want to remind you of something very important, something that many of us overlook in our daily lives. We spend so much time worrying about how others see us, how much they love us, how much they care for us, yet we forget to ask, do we love ourselves? Do we value the person we see in the mirror every morning? Too many people walk around feeling unworthy, feeling like they are not enough. They seek validation from others, waiting for someone to appreciate them, to love them, to accept them. But let me tell you something, if you don't of yourself, if you don't value yourself, how do you expect others to do it? Loving yourself is not arrogance. It's not pride. It is recognizing that Allah has created you in the best form. He has honored you. He has given you a purpose. And if He, the most merciful, has chosen you to exist, then you must honor yourself too. How do you love yourself? First, know your worth. Your worth is not in how many people admire you or how many followers you have. Your worth is in your character, your kindness, your sincerity, and your connection with your Creator. If you recognize that you are special because Allah made you special, then nothing in this world can make you feel inferior. Second, forgive yourself. We all make mistakes. We all have moments of weakness. But do not let your past define your future. If Allah forgives, who are you to hold yourself back? Learn from your mistakes, grow from them, and move forward with strength. Third, protect your heart. Don't give your heart away to people who do not value it. Don't depend on others to make you happy. True happiness comes from within. If you attach your happiness to people, you will always be disappointed. But if you attach it to Allah, you will always find peace. My brothers and sisters, loving yourself means taking care of your mind, your soul, and your body. It means speaking to yourself with kindness, just as you would speak to a dear friend. It means believing that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are loved because Allah loves you. So from today, stop seeking love in the wrong places. Stop waiting for people to complete you. You are already complete. Love yourself, respect yourself, and walk with dignity. And most importantly, never forget that the greatest love you can have is the love of Allah, for through Him, all love becomes pure and meaningful. Your worth is not defined by the opinions of others. Too often people spend their lives seeking validation from those around them, hoping to feel valued through external approval. This is a dangerous way to live because people are unpredictable and their opinions change like the wind. If you attach your worth to their praise, you will constantly find yourself chasing something that is never stable. One day they may celebrate you, the next they may criticize you. Does that mean your value has changed? Absolutely not. Your worth is not in their hands. True worth comes from within, and more importantly, it comes from the way Allah has created you. Allah has honored you, given you intellect, emotions, and abilities that are unique to you. No one else in this world has been given the exact same combination of strengths and experiences that you have. That alone is proof that you have been created with purpose. When you recognize that, you stop seeking worth from outside sources and start building it within yourself. Many people struggle with self-worth because they compare themselves to others. They see someone more successful, more talented, more admired, and they start to feel inferior. This is one of the most destructive habits a person can have. Comparison steals contentment. It blinds you from seeing your own blessings because you are too busy looking at someone else's. But the truth is, every person has their own struggles, their own tests, and their own journey. The person you admire may be facing battles you cannot see. Instead of comparing yourself to others, focus on becoming the best version of yourself. One of the most powerful ways to build self-worth is to develop strong character. Kindness, honesty, patience, and sincerity are qualities that define a truly valuable person. These are things that cannot be taken away by money, status, or beauty. When you work on your character, you begin to respect yourself more because you are living in a way that aligns with your values. And when you respect yourself, others will naturally respect you too. Another way to strengthen your sense of worth is to recognize your strengths and talents. Every person has something they excel at. Some people are natural leaders, others are creative thinkers, and some have the gift of empathy and understanding. Instead of focusing on what you lack, focus on what you have. Develop your skills, use them in ways that benefit yourself and others, and you will start to see how valuable you truly are. Your worth is also deeply connected to your relationship with Allah. When you recognize that He has created you with intention, you start to view yourself differently. He has given you life opportunities and guidance, which means you are important in His plan. No matter how much the world tries to make you feel unworthy, His love and mercy are always there to remind you that you matter. When you connect with Him, your sense of worth becomes unshakable because it is based on something eternal, not temporary validation from people. Some people struggle with self-worth because of their past mistakes. They feel like their failures define them, making them unworthy of love and respect. But this is not true. Every person makes mistakes. What defines you is not your past, but how you choose to move forward. If Allah, the most merciful, is always ready to forgive, why should you hold yourself back? Learn from your past, but do not let it dictate your future. You are not your mistakes. You are the lessons you take from them. It is also important to set boundaries in life. If you do not value yourself, people will take advantage of you. Learn to say no when something does not align with your principles. Do not allow others to treat you in a way that makes you feel unworthy. Surround yourself with people who uplift you, who remind you of your strengths, and who encourage you to grow. If someone constantly makes you feel small, they do not deserve a place in your life. Building self-worth is a process. It requires effort, self-reflection, and a commitment to seeing yourself the way Allah sees you. It means rejecting negative self-talk and replacing it with thoughts that empower you. It means focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. It means walking with confidence, not arrogance, knowing that you have been created with value and purpose. Your worth is not in how many people like you, how many achievements you have, or how perfect you appear to be. Your worth is in your character, your sincerity, and your ability to recognize your own value without needing others to confirm it for you. When you understand this, you free yourself from the burden of seeking validation from the wrong places. You stand tall, knowing that you are enough exactly as you are. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful acts of self-love that a person can offer themselves. It's easy to forgive others when they make mistakes. But when it comes to forgiving ourselves, we often hold onto our faults and failures for far too long. We allow our mistakes to define us, to shape our identity, and to make us feel unworthy of happiness, peace, or success. This self-punishment is not only unnecessary, but it is also harmful. The truth is, you are not your mistakes. You are a human being with the capacity to learn, grow, and improve. Allah's mercy is far greater than any mistake you could ever make. And if He can forgive you, then you must also learn to forgive yourself. Many people struggle with self-forgiveness because they feel like they haven't done enough to make up for their wrongdoings. They believe that their mistakes are so large or so numerous that they can never be forgiven, either by Allah or by themselves. However, this way of thinking traps them in a cycle of guilt and regret that prevents them from moving forward. The reality is, we are all imperfect. We all have moments of weakness and we all make mistakes. But what defines us is not those mistakes, it's how we respond to them. If we allow our mistakes to paralyze us with guilt, then we can never grow. But if we choose to forgive ourselves, learn from our errors, and make better choices in the future, we reclaim our power and begin to move toward a more positive and fulfilling life. Forgiving yourself begins with acceptance. Accept that you are human and that you will falter. We often have unrealistic expectations of ourselves, believing that we should always be perfect or always make the right decision. But perfection is not the goal. Growth is. Allah does not expect us to be flawless. He expects us to strive, to improve, and to seek His forgiveness when we slip. When we accept our flaws and imperfections, we free ourselves from the burden of unrealistic expectations and allow ourselves the space to learn and grow. Another crucial part of self-forgiveness is understanding that no mistake is too great to be forgiven. Sometimes we hold on to our past mistakes because we feel that we don't deserve forgiveness. We believe that the wrongs we've committed are too severe or too hurtful for us to ever find redemption. But this belief is rooted in a lack of understanding of Allah's infinite mercy. Allah has promised in the Quran that He will forgive all sins for those who sincerely repent, no matter how grave those sins may seem. This promise is a lifeline for those who struggle with guilt and shame, because it reminds us that forgiveness is always within reach. When we seek forgiveness from Allah, we are reminded that we do not carry the weight of our past. We are given a chance to begin again. Forgiving yourself also means letting go of the past. Many people are haunted by their past mistakes, constantly replaying the events in their minds, wishing they had done things differently. But this kind of thinking keeps us stuck in the past and prevents us from moving forward. The past is gone, it no longer serves you, and it cannot be changed. The only thing you can control is your present and your future. When you let go of the past and forgive yourself, you allow yourself to heal and grow. You release the chains of regret and guilt that hold you back, and you make room for new opportunities, new relationships, and new achievements. The process of self-forgiveness also involves self-compassion. Too often we are our own harshest critics, judging ourselves more severely than we would ever judge others. We say things to ourselves that we would never dream of saying to a friend or loved one. We blame ourselves for every mistake, every failure, and every disappointment, as if we are undeserving of kindness or understanding. But in order to truly forgive ourselves, we must treat ourselves with the same compassion that we would offer to others. We must speak kindly to ourselves, recognize our efforts, and remind ourselves that we are worthy of love and forgiveness. One important aspect of self-forgiveness is learning to make amends when necessary. While forgiving yourself is crucial, it's also important to take responsibility for your actions and make things right when possible. If your mistakes have hurt others, it is essential to seek their forgiveness as well. This may involve apologizing, making restitution, or simply acknowledging the pain you've caused. Taking responsibility for your actions shows maturity and accountability, and it helps you to heal both yourself and your relationships. However, even if others do not forgive you, that should not stop you from forgiving yourself. Your worth is not dependent on their forgiveness. It is dependent on your relationship with Allah and your ability to grow from your experiences. Self-forgiveness is a process, and it takes time. It is not something that happens overnight, and it is not something that can be forced. But with patience, self-compassion, and faith in Allah's mercy, it is possible to release the guilt and shame that hold you back. When you forgive yourself, you open the door to healing, growth, and a renewed sense of purpose. You allow yourself to move forward with confidence, knowing that you are not defined by your past, but by the person you are becoming. Protecting your heart is one of the most important aspects of personal growth and well-being. The heart is not just a physical organ that pumps blood through your body, but the very core of your emotional and spiritual state. It is the place where your feelings, desires, and intentions reside, and it is susceptible to influence by both the world around you and the thoughts you nurture. Because of its central role in shaping your emotional and mental health, it's crucial to guard your heart from negative influences and toxic energy that can disrupt your peace and cloud your judgment. Too often we expose our hearts to situations, people, and environments that bring us pain, disappointment, or unnecessary stress. We allow ourselves to become emotionally attached to things that do not serve our well-being, whether that be toxic relationships, unhealthy habits, or unrealistic expectations. We place our happiness in the hands of others, thinking that if they love us or approve of us, we will feel whole. This creates vulnerability, as our happiness becomes dependent on someone else's behavior, and we lose our sense of control over our own emotional state. One of the most important ways to protect your heart is to recognize that your happiness and peace should not depend on others. People come and go, and their behavior is often beyond your control. If you place your emotional well-being in their hands, you will constantly be at their mercy. Their approval or disapproval, their actions or lack thereof can cause your heart to sway. This creates instability, as you are giving others the power to dictate your emotional state. Instead of waiting for others to fill your heart with love or validation, take responsibility for your own happiness. Fill your heart with self-love, self-respect, and contentment that come from within, not from external sources. When you do this, you become independent in your emotional state, and no one can affect your inner peace unless you allow it. Another crucial aspect of protecting your heart is to guard it from negative thoughts. Your thoughts shape your reality, and if you constantly think poorly of yourself or focus on negative outcomes, you will begin to feel defeated and helpless. Negative thoughts can create a toxic environment within your own mind, leading to feelings of insecurity, fear, and despair. To protect your heart, you must first protect your mind. Practice positive thinking, affirmations, and mindfulness to keep negative thoughts at bay. When you find yourself spiraling into negativity, redirect your focus to something positive, whether that be a goal, a blessing, or simply a gratitude practice. You have the power to control your thoughts, and by doing so, you protect the heart from emotional turmoil. Equally important is the need to protect your heart from toxic relationships. Not all relationships are healthy, and not everyone you meet has your best interests at heart. There are people who will take advantage of your kindness, who will manipulate your emotions, or who will drain you of energy without ever giving anything in return. These kinds of relationships are like emotional vampires. They suck the life out of you and leave you feeling empty and unworthy. Protecting your heart means setting boundaries and being willing to walk away from people who are not adding value to your life. It means recognizing when someone's presence in your life is doing more harm than good, and having the strength to distance yourself. Just as you would not allow someone to physically harm you, do not allow anyone to emotionally harm you either. It's also important to protect your heart by being cautious with your time and energy. In today's world, there is an overwhelming amount of information, media, and interactions that can affect your state of mind. Social media, for instance, can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it connects us to the world and allows us to share our lives with others, but on the other hand, it can be a source of comparison, jealousy, and stress. Constantly scrolling through other people's lives can make you feel inadequate or insecure about your own. It's essential to recognize when something is negatively impacting your heart and to take steps to reduce your exposure to it. Don't feel obligated to be involved in everything or to keep up with every trend or conversation. Protect your heart by prioritizing your well-being and choosing where you invest your time and energy. Equally, protecting your heart requires you to be selective about what you expose yourself to, whether it's the conversations you engage in or the content you consume. Words have a profound impact on our emotions and mental state. If you fill your heart with negativity, criticism, and judgment, your emotional state will reflect that. Surround yourself with people who uplift and encourage you, people who remind you of your worth and inspire you to be the best version of yourself. Seek out positive environments and experiences that nourish your soul, whether that's engaging in acts of kindness, spending time in nature, or connecting with those who bring you peace. In order to truly protect your heart, it is also necessary to forgive. Holding on to grudges or resentment can cause emotional pain that lingers and weighs down your heart. Forgiveness is not just a gift to others, it is a gift to yourself. When you forgive, you release the power that past hurts have over you, and you free your heart from the burden of carrying anger or bitterness. Forgiveness doesn't mean you condone someone else's actions. It simply means you choose to let go of the emotional burden and move forward with peace. This is essential for protecting your heart, as unresolved anger and hurt can corrode your sense of inner peace and happiness. At the same time, protecting your heart doesn't mean building walls that prevent love, growth, or connection. It means being mindful of what you allow to affect your emotions and making conscious choices to safeguard your mental and emotional well-being. You can protect your heart while still being open to love, kindness, and positivity. It's about finding balance, ensuring that the things that nourish your soul are allowed to enter, while those that harm or diminish you are kept at bay. By doing so, you create an environment in which your heart can flourish, free from unnecessary negativity and emotional distress. Speaking kindly to yourself is one of the most profound acts of self-care you can practice. We often hear about the importance of being kind to others, but how often do we apply the same level of kindness to ourselves? We are quick to criticize us, to focus on our flaws and to point out our mistakes, but how many times do we take a moment to acknowledge our strengths, our efforts, and our progress? The way we speak to ourselves influences the way we feel about ourselves, and it plays a significant role in our mental and emotional well-being. When we speak to ourselves with kindness, we nurture our self-esteem, boost our confidence, and create a sense of inner peace. One of the most common ways people speak negatively to themselves is through self-criticism. We have an inner dialogue that constantly points out our shortcomings, often in harsh and judgmental ways. We call ourselves stupid, lazy, or incapable when we make mistakes, and we allow these negative thoughts to fester in our minds. Over time, this inner criticism can erode our self-worth and make us feel inadequate. But imagine if we spoke to ourselves the way we would speak to a friend who was struggling. We would offer words of encouragement, compassion, and understanding. We would remind them that everyone makes mistakes, that failure is part of the journey, and that they are capable of doing better next time. Why don't we extend the same courtesy to ourselves? Speaking kindly to yourself involves changing the narrative of your internal dialogue. Instead of focusing on what you did wrong, focus on what you can do to improve. Instead of condemning yourself for your mistakes, use them as opportunities for growth. Every mistake is a lesson, and every setback is a chance to learn. When you speak to yourself with kindness, you shift your mindset from one of self-judgment to one of self-compassion. You stop viewing mistakes as a reflection of your worth and start seeing them as stepping stones toward personal development. Another important aspect of speaking kindly to yourself is practicing gratitude. When we focus on what we lack, we can easily fall into a mindset of scarcity. We look at others and compare ourselves to them, wishing we had what they have or could do what they do. This mindset can lead to frustration, resentment, and self-doubt. But when we speak kindly to ourselves, we shift our focus from what we don't have to what we do have. We acknowledge our blessings, our talents, and the unique qualities that make us who we are. Gratitude is a powerful tool for cultivating a positive self-image. When you take the time to appreciate the things you love about yourself, you create a foundation of self-acceptance and contentment. It's also essential to be mindful of the language we use when we talk about our goals and ambitions. Too often we speak to ourselves in ways that undermine our confidence. We tell ourselves that we will never succeed, that we are not good enough, or that our dreams are too big. These thoughts limit our potential and hold us back from pursuing the things we truly want. Instead of telling yourself that something is impossible, change the language to one of possibility. Speak to yourself as if success is inevitable. Remind yourself that you have the strength, the skills, and the determination to achieve your goals. By speaking positively about your aspirations, you program your mind for success. Moreover, speaking kindly to yourself is about being gentle with your emotions. When you're feeling down or stressed, instead of criticizing yourself for not being strong enough or together enough, offer yourself compassion. Understand that it's okay to feel vulnerable, to have moments of weakness, and to experience difficult emotions. You are not a failure because you feel overwhelmed or exhausted. You are simply human. When you validate your feelings and give yourself the space to experience them, you allow yourself to heal and regain balance.